Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. August greetings to my August audience gathered here today for yet another open house session, an initiative by a district trio to ensure that each Toastmaster has an opportunity to raise their doubts and questions and have them answered by the trio themselves. Our district trio this year are like the three musketeers with one common great goal in mind: an enriching experience for every Toastmaster while ensuring sustainability and leaving behind a legacy. Can't inspire us more, right? With that, let's move on to the actual open house session. First and foremost, we would like to thank every Toastmaster who had mailed questions within the stipulated time. We would also like to let you know that as per parliamentary procedures, we will only be taking up questions that have already been mailed to us. We will not be answering any live questions in the chat box today for want of time. We have classified all the questions into broader sections like leadership, educational sessions, membership, etc., which will be addressed by one member from our trio. All questions regarding Hall of Fame awards and the buddy clubs which are a part of it will be handled in an exclusive session, the date and time of which will be announced very soon. Coming to formal introductions, I'm sure we are all very familiar with our trio by now. So let's dive in deep into the session right away. To begin with, we have a district director, Toastmaster Satish Menon, to answer the questions on leadership. The first one: how can we transform ourselves from mediocre managers to powerful leaders? Over to you, Toastmaster Satish Menon.
Thank you, Toastmaster Divya. A very good evening to all of you who are present here for the second in our series, or rather the first in our series of Ask the Trio. So how can we transfer ourselves from mediocre managers to great managers? First of all, let all of us should be very clear that each one of us is unique in ourselves, right? So we are not a carbon copy of anybody. Nobody can be a carbon copy of us, and there can be only one of us in this universe at any given point of time. So to that extent, all of us have our unique strengths and our, I would not use the word weaknesses, our areas where we feel that we can improve. Nobody others should not tell us that you are weak in something or you are strong in something. So what is mediocre? When you say mediocre, what is it actually, right? It is when we feel that we are not doing something in a right manner according to our standards, right? Because end of the day, standards are something which we define for ourselves. The community cannot define what the standards for you and me need to be, right? So if we feel that we are not doing something to our true potential, or we are lacking in something, that is when we say, oh, we are mediocre, we are not getting there. And how can we get there? We can only get there by improving ourselves. When we feel that, oh, I'm improving day by day. Because end of the day, for you to become from good to great or mediocre to great manager, or a human being, because manager is just a subset of being a human being, right? So you have to improve yourselves, and that improvement can only come based on the standards that you have set for yourself, not by what others tell you. Because if you start living your life by what others' opinions are, you will be constantly changing yourself every day. And then people will know that the moment they tell something to you, you will react to it. So that's not a definition of a great leader. Some people think that if I say yes to everything, I become a great leader. No, you will land into bigger trouble later on. And there are enough instances in the world around us to say how people have done that and landed into big trouble. So if you want to become somebody from mediocre to great, challenge yourself every day to say that I will get better and better at that what I'm doing. To set your goals high. Go the extra step the next day and don't worry about what people think about you. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster Divya.
Let's move on to the next question, sir. How can we encourage members to stand for elections? How can we encourage members to stand for elections?
How can we encourage members to stand for elections? In India, we are the world's largest democracy, right? And we know that anybody who's above the age of 18 can vote, above the age of 21 can stand for election. It's no different in Toastmasters. If we join a club, we are part of the club. And it's up to us to ensure that we get whatever we have thought about getting out of Toastmasters from the club, because club is the medium through which we start our Toastmasters journey and we continue our Toastmasters journey. But if you want to make yourselves better, if you want to make the club better, if you want to kind of bring some change about the way things are happening in the club or at your area or division or district or beyond, the only way you can do it is being a part of the decision-making process. It's a simple thing. Like somebody says, oh, I want to improve the condition of the roads in my constituency. What is it that you can do? You can petition your local MLA or councillor, right? If things don't happen, you can go petition the court. Okay. If other things don't happen, one of the ways that you can do it is you stand for that post and say, let me become one of them and let me get the power in my hands to bring the change that I want to become. So it's the same in Toastmasters. If you want some change to happen, if you want some changes to happen at your club level, at area level, and the only way you can bring about the change is being part of the process. And believe me, if you take a leadership journey, it's a great learning, because the best thing in Toastmasters is here nobody is bound to listen to you, unlike in corporate, right? So that is the best part of the leadership journey, is to take everybody along, come to a consensus, take decisions in a truly voluntary environment. I think that should be great enough motivation for somebody to say that I should go ahead and take up roles in the club.
Thank you, Toastmaster Satish, for that. That was actually very well said. The change has to start from within you. While exploring hierarchy in Toastmasters' leadership path, we came across a role called Regional Advisor. We would like to understand the roles and responsibilities of regional advisors and their key role in club growth. Over to you, sir.
Well, if you look at the Toastmasters hierarchy, for those of you who are not clear about it, it starts like at the base you have the club, then multiple clubs form area, multiple areas form division, multiple divisions form district, multiple districts form a region, and there is above that it is the world headquarters, right? So the hierarchy is you either a club excom, from there you become an area director, from there you become a division director, from there you become a club growth director, from there you become a program quality director, from there you become a district director, from there you can become a regional advisor. Some people skip that regional advisor, they straight away go and become international director. And then you have the second vice president, first vice president, and then you become the president. So a region advisor is someone who is responsible for guiding the entire region. So as you look today, District 120 is part of Region 13. Okay? So Region 13, there are multiple districts. So the role of a region advisor is as simple as the word advisor which is there. Okay? They are supposed to guide the districts in multiple areas, like how to grow the district, how to kind of bring better quality in the district. They are the ones who do the trainings for the district officers. They are the ones who will guide the districts in member retention, club growth, and all of that. So their role is purely advisory. Okay? They are not supposed to interfere in the running of a district. It's purely an advisory role. How do you become a region advisor? For that, the minimum requirement is you should have been a district director. Okay? So only district people who have served as district directors can become region advisor. So if I want to become a region advisor, if I step down from my term at the end of June 2022, then for the next 1 year, I cannot take up any role. Then the year after that, I will have to apply for region advisor, and those are appointed by Toastmasters International. So it's not a elected role, it's a selected role. So multiple people can apply, and then they have certain criteria based on which they will take feedback from people that I have worked in my term as district director and all that. And based on that, there is some criteria. Based on that, they appoint region advisors. And that's the way it, and they are also holding term for 1 year. So region advisors also have a term for 1 year. So I hope I've made myself clear on what region advisor is. It's only advisory. Okay? They are not kind of into the running of a district.
That was explained very clearly in detail. Thank you so much for that. Moving on to the next question. With the parliamentary procedures and the new criteria introduced in this term, we feel that the ExCom members will be overwhelmed and would get worn out with the amount of work. Is there any suggestion on how some pressure can be relieved from the ExCom team?
When you look at parliamentary procedures and running of a club, okay, it is not extra work. When you are running a club, you need to have the proper processes in place of running a club business meeting, maintaining proper records of meetings which are held, okay, maintaining the club accounts properly, addressing the member needs, okay, running a meeting in a proper manner, okay, having proper protocols for that. That is the process which is laid down not only for a Toastmasters club, anywhere. If you are, people who live in apartment complexes might know, you have a committee that runs the apartment complex, right? So you always have a meeting of the executive committee. You also have an AGM every year. Records after minutes of the meeting have to be maintained. The book of accounts has to be kind of shown to all the members. If you call for elections and all, parliamentary procedures have to be in place. You have to call for nominations. You have to call a returning officer. So this is nothing which is over and above what you have to do. This is mandatory. Okay. Because club is an entity. Okay. And you have registered that club in Toastmasters International. When you file the club charter forms and everybody, you've gone and registered. So this is mandatory. That's something that you need to do. Clubs are not only for just coming, giving speeches and going. That is where you develop the club. That is where you develop the next set of leaders. That is what you put the processes in place. Because no one is going to be in the club forever, right? I might be in a club for 5-6 years. After that, I might choose to change my membership. Even if I'm part of the club, every 6 months, the ExCom has to rotate, right? So a new person comes in, that person should be aware of what has happened in the previous term, right? So that it is all about keeping proper processes, having proper documentation and proper rules and regulations so that the club can flourish and grow and there is no discontent among the members. So parliamentary procedures are essential. It's only this year that we've been kind of emphasizing on it. And again, we are not telling everybody that it's compulsory. You have to kind of adopt it for the healthy working of a club. Till about last year, and so very few clubs used to do it, but they still used to run. But that is the difference between a good club, a great club, and a super efficient club. So how good you are with your parliamentary procedures. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Satish. With that, we will be wrapping up this section and moving on to the next session, educational sessions, which will be answered by our beloved Program Quality Director, DTM Aarti Mangalam. So over to you, Aarti. What are the educational sessions planned for this term from the district office side? Is there any special training available to improve the meeting standards?
Thank you so much, Divya, and thank you for asking that question. There are quite a few number of programs which focus more on club quality. We are talking about roles, not just about ExCom roles, but how to conduct meeting roles. There are sessions about how to give an effective club evaluation. And we also have the Pathways 101 session, which talks about the basics of pathways, writing a script, not from a contest perspective, but from club speech. So these are some of the special sessions that we have planned for this particular year. If there's anything in particular that you're looking for, which is not there in our TLI calendar, I think you'd have received the calendar which talks about the different dates and the different programs. If there is something beyond which let's say you are interested or you would like to learn about, drop us an email. We'll definitely look into it and we'll see how best we can incorporate that session based on the demand. If not, we'll at least have an education session for your club if it's not a demand from the entire district.
Thank you so much for the clarification. Let's move on to the next question. Can you please conduct educational sessions addressing the women Toastmasters in the District 120 on work-life balance, managing family and embracing the Toastmasters journey amidst all the chaos in this world? Over to you.
That's a very interesting request. The person who wrote this particular question, we would like you to go ahead and probably organize this as a panel discussion in your club. And I'm sure this question is primarily being asked because me and Gayatri are there in the trio for once we are beating down the ratio, which even the government has not been able to. So go ahead and organize for a panel discussion or maybe an educational session in your club, and you could advertise it to the entire district. You know, this could be your club's initiative and we would be more than happy to be a part of it.
Okay, thank you. I welcome this new trust that we are giving to parliamentary procedures across the district. Can we have some model meetings that show us in practice the right usage of these procedures? Will there be the train the trainer kind of program as was done before OTP to expand the list of trainers? Over to you.
Thank you, Divya. One, we had a session on parliamentary procedures. And if you had attended that session, there was a lot of working examples given. A demo was conducted about how to run a business meeting, where you saw the entire theory in action. In addition to this, what we will do is that particular video is available on YouTube. So if you missed that session, you could still go ahead and see it on YouTube. DTM Shivraj, who's the parliamentarian, and myself, we are discussing about how to come up with snippets, which again will be available on YouTube if you're interested in learning by yourself. To address the question about train the trainer, we have recommended all divisions appoint a division parliamentarian, and all the areas have an area parliamentarian and then a club parliamentarian. As a beginning point, the area and division parliamentarians will be trained by our DTM Shivraj. We are looking at cascading the information, the training knowledge through him, probably in the next forthcoming year when we know that the concept of parliamentarian and parliamentary procedures is there amongst all clubs. We could think about another session on for the members and create more trainers from them. For now, the trainers will be the area, division, and of course, the district parliamentarian team.
Thank you, Aarti. The next question. Thank you so much for your efforts to come up with an excellent plan for the TLI events. There are few concerns, however, about the TLI events. It occupies almost all Saturday and Sunday. Even though it's for different audience, the ExCom is the common audience for most of the events. At least it would be great if we could avoid multiple events on the same day, especially August 22nd, so that more people can attend the event to get the benefits. We would like to hear from you, Aarti.
Totally agree. This is the story of that, the child and the father and the donkey, right? Listening to public opinion, we changed. For example, we had it on a weekdays. They said we'll have it on weekends. We had it on weekends. They said weekdays. While I totally understand and empathize with the challenge of having too many sessions on a day, believe me, it is also taxing for us. Like yesterday and today, the trio has been into meetings since 7:30 till about 9 last night. And today also will be till about 8:30. So we totally empathize with you. August 22nd is an exception. I'm not saying no, because we wanted to have it on Sundays. We tried to accommodate maximum on Sundays. And like all schools that you have the summer holidays, you will have a holiday during October, November, where you will not have too many TLI sessions. Maximum, we'll try and accommodate not more than one session in a day. But if at all there is, we request you to kind of please support us, because we've done it only because we did not have an option. And about ExComs, well, we understand that is why, we decided that no TLI programs attendance will carry a weightage in the Golden Gavel document, because we only want people to attend. We don't want it to be indirectly forcing you for the sake of golden gavel points. I would recommend nominate one member from the ExCom to alternate, which means 8 people are there, 8 programs are taken care of, and you can translate that knowledge through the club. Thank you, Vidya.
Moving on to the next question. I have been a Toastmaster for last 3 years, but only after attending OTP, I got to know so many things. Is it possible to have an induction video which will introduce the main concept of Toastmasters to new joinees? We can have important points covered in that induction video like parliamentary procedures, general Toastmasters meeting procedure, moments of truth, judging, contest, visiting Toastmaster options, etc. Over to you, Aarti.
That's a fantastic idea. I definitely like that idea. This was one of the questions which excited me because there's a lot of scope for us to do, but maybe we should think about baby steps. One area which we probably have started planning is like a new member kit. Gayatri will be in a better position to talk about it. She's the one who's planning it. But as you said, maybe a video on the different areas that you had mentioned, like an induction video, can be planned. Let me think and I will get back on this question. I'm not going to make any promises that I can't keep. So let us please check our resources, check the feasibility, and we will get back to you.
Thank you, Aarti. Moving on to the next question. We know that being a distinguished Toastmaster is prestigious. It would be motivating if you can share your learnings while working to achieve distinguished Toastmaster status.
I would go back to the same answer for the women specific program. I think there are a lot of DTMs here who have done DTMs more than once in the pathways as well as in the traditional path. You have people with a lot more experience. The best way is to talk to these people and get your questions answered. An experience sharing session in the form of a panel is the best way to do it. And there are some clubs who have already done that. I would request the person who asked this question to have an panel moderation. And if not as a panelist, I would definitely attend that as a member and get the knowledge.
Thank you so much, Aarti. That wraps the complete session on educational sessions. Let's move on to the next section, membership. And I would like to request our Club Growth Director to answer these questions. The first question, on an average, we have around 6 guests attending our meetings, but we are finding it difficult to convert them into members. Can you please advise?
First of all, congratulations to the club for getting 6 guests almost every meeting. That's a big feat, I would say. Thank you. So in terms of converting the guests into members, there are no specific techniques that we can definitely say that definitely this guest will become a member. But there are very good practices that we can follow. One of them is definitely reaching back to the guest after the meeting. So this need not be always done by the Vice President membership. The ExCom can work together. And in fact, you can also suggest the other Toastmasters to talk to the guest in a very informal way, compliment them on something good that they did. Second thing is, whenever a guest joins, ensure that they get a speaking slot. It could be in the table topics, it could be in the initial when you ask them to introduce themselves, or at the end get a feedback. So engagement with the guest will be of a very good value. And if possible, write an email to them, giving them an option to join Toastmasters, explaining about the benefits of Toastmasters. And in few clubs, I've also seen them being encouraged to play tag roles in the upcoming weeks. So when you start engaging them, when they become part of the meeting, there are a very bigger chances of them becoming members eventually. If you still have any challenges, I would be very happy to discuss one-on-one and we can work on a strategy together.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. Moving on to our next question. How can we add new members in a college club, especially in a tough time like this? Over to you.
See, one of the best places that we can add new members is college club, because you are, whoever is in college at this point of time are going to face a very different corporate world. You're not going to have opportunities to talk to your seniors over a cup of coffee. You're not going to be invited to corporate lunches. You will not have an opportunity to even see the people whom you are potentially going to work with. So to manage or to create rapport with a team on a very remote medium, Toastmasters is going to help you by large. So this is what you can go back and tell your friends. Beyond that, to attract new members, few suggestions that we gave was we could arrange for sessions that are related to communication and soft skills that can be learned through Toastmasters by experts in the industry. For example, how about a HR giving you a session on how to face interviews? What are the common mistakes they have observed in an interview? You can always approach our program quality team who would be able to help you arrange for such sessions if you do not really know a person who can deliver it at the best. Beyond that, we can also provide a youth leadership program for new joinees, that is new joinees to colleges for an 8-week program. This can be done free of cost as a district CSR initiative. So if you're really keen about building new members and only challenge you have is finding them, you can approach PQD for educational session or the CGD team for YLP sessions. One of us will be able to help you get more members into the place.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. That was well explained. Moving on to our next question. If a club becomes too big, outgrowing its location, or delaying the growth of some members wishing for more opportunity to participate, how do you manage the scheduling of slots?
See, there is a ideal number. I mean, it's not recommended by Toastmasters, but there is an ideal number that we see the club is able to satisfy the members at the most, which is somewhere between 35 to 50. The reason for 35 to 50 is the average attendance of every club. Okay, every club, not just in India, throughout the world is around 50%. The only place where they have 100% attendance is the clubs that they have in the prisons. So if your club is having more than 50% attendance, be very happy. Okay, don't be very sad about it, but ensure that the members always attend. It's not that only the 50% of members are active. One person can skip a meeting and another meeting they can attend. So when a club grows beyond this, it would be very difficult for the VP education to assign slots and give justice to the club. So when a club grows beyond 50, 60, ideally the ExCom can discuss with the members and look at the opportunity to split the club so that the members also get enough leadership opportunities, and more importantly, they have enough opportunities to give speeches. Until then, say for example, when they are in 40 to 60, they can look at the opportunities to provide slots for these speakers in clubs where there are not enough speakers. So that would be a very different experience. This can be explored as a temporary solution, but permanently when the club grows, it is better to split it and form 2 new clubs.
Thank you so much, Gayatri, for that. Moving on to our next question. Why is Toastmasters necessary? Does initial fee for newbies really drive away their joining spirit? How do we handle that?
Well, if you ask me, Toastmasters is for everyone, but it really depends on the person whether they want to be a Toastmaster or not. Toastmasters can offer anything, solution to anything. Do you want to have a better relationship with your family, better growth in profession? Do you want to see a different version of yourself? Toastmasters can give you an opportunity to become whatever you want to. You can become a humorous speaker, you can become an actor, you can become a professional speaker or a CEO as well, because we've seen people grow that way. But it really depends on the person to commit to it. In terms of initial fee baffling people, I would really say if they see the value add, the initial fee is nothing really, right? It's almost like they pay around 5,000 rupees for the period of 6 months, which is less than 1,000 rupees per month. And I'm very sure that many of the training programs, I'm not even comparing with anything else, that people sign up for where they have at least 4 sessions a month, doesn't come for even 1,000 rupees. Even for children, it is minimum of 2,000 rupees per month. So when they see the value that this program can offer, I think the cost is actually very less. It is not a cost, it's more like an investment, and the return is multifold, right? Because they can attend educational session everywhere. They can attend, I mean, it's up to them. They can take how much ever they want to. So probably we have to help them realize the value so that they don't feel the pinch on the financial part.
Thank you, Gayatri. Moving to the next question. Since it looks like we will be continuing online meetings for some time now, we will be happy if some new initiatives and guidance to pull in new members and aid in member retention is provided. Can you help?
Okay, couple of initiatives that we are doing, and we are working with few clubs. In fact, yesterday we spoke about a mega guest meeting which was a way of launching an open house or a town hall session in the corporate environment where you can attract new members. Apart from that, the district has also running social media campaign and seeing if there are people who are interested to be part of Toastmasters. Such leads are being passed to community clubs because they cannot be part of corporate clubs. So for community clubs, we are providing leads of people, individuals who are interested to be part of Toastmasters. So if you are part of a community club and you haven't got a lead, ideally you should be. If you haven't got a lead for your VPM or president, you can connect with the club growth team. For corporates, we are willing to work with them to arrange these sessions. Like we can help you with an educational speaker. We can help you with the structure of meeting. We can work with you. It need not be a corporate's own effort. It is always the district team which is ready to help you. So you can approach your area or division director or the trio for any support you need in terms of bringing new members or running a campaign for existing members. Running a campaign for new members or retaining existing members. Again, it is all about providing value in terms of quality. So I think we've discussed that in length. So if you need any specific challenge or if you need any specific guidance with any challenge, you can reach out to us.
Sure. The next question, Toastmasters in total presents 3 awards for membership building. Practically adding 5 members in these 3 cycles, 15 members minimum in a year, seems like an unjustified ask for the clubs with good numbers already. Is there any scope to improvise it and award points for something better? Over to you.
Well, this is not a district award where we award points. So this is an award by Toastmaster International themselves, which means the clubs all through the world follow this. Having said that, it's not mandatory for every club to add 15 members. But why is it that Toastmasters is asking us to do this? Why is it incentivizing when we add these members? Is because if you get about 15 new members in your club, the peer learning quotient goes up very high. If you see the retention of clubs is not very high. If you see the average retention of our district is one of the highest in our region, still it is around 50%. So if you think that some people are already leaving, the only way to ensure that the club is energetic and the learning value is always high is through peer learning, which is through member addition. So if your club is already growing with 15 members every year, then like I said, you could look at the possibility of creating 2 clubs with more leaders and more opportunities. But having said that, you don't really have to chase these 3 awards. It's not mandatory. You can see what suits your club and do it. But I would strongly recommend going for Smedley Award because this happens in the beginning of the year. So you help the person walk through a complete year and their retention chances are very high if you work for a Smedley Award. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you. So with that question, we are wrapping up the session on membership, and we have the next section on peer-related questions, which will be handled by our district director. So the first question for you, Toastmaster Satish, we can only do so much with 3 brand colors and 2 fonts to make posters, and the PR work becomes drudging. How do we tackle this? Over to you, Satish.
Toastmasters International has a branding guideline policy which applies to clubs across the world. And it's not something which is specific only to a certain country or a certain district. And as a Toastmasters club, all the clubs are supposed to adhere to that branding policy. With regard to, if you look at posters, even with 3 colors, you can still make very unique posters. Because what is the intent of a poster? Intent of a poster for a club meeting is to intimate people that there is a meeting that's going on and this is where we are meeting and the place, the time, the location, right? Also, for a global brand, you need to be very clear on what posters will communicate in the absence of a proper policy. So I've seen posters where people use cartoon characters or people put memes on a poster for a club meeting and they send it out. It may look creative, okay, but it damages the brand much more than it kind of enriches the brand. So you have to be very kind of, what we are looking at here is not creativity in posters. posters are only to announce. The creativity and the other content needs to come into the club meeting, the way you give your speeches, the way the evaluations are done. And if you look at posters globally into the Toastmasters world, all of them follow the same branding guidelines. And some of those posters look very rich and royal because it is the brand that you have to project. So when you project a brand saying that we are a group of individuals who are committed to developing communication leadership skills and helping people become better in both, the posters need to reflect the character of Toastmasters. So that is the reason why these branding guidelines are there as a global practice.
Thank you so much. And moving on to our next question, almost similar to the previous one. Are there any chances of adding black to our brand colors? Can we use black?
If it is not there in the branding manual, you cannot use it.
Okay, that makes it very clear. Moving on to our next question. The current District D120 portal is not updated. Can we please check if the portal is updated with the latest information and links provided for all the sessions uploaded in the YouTube channel? It's a request, sir.
The portal is in the process of being slowly updated. Please understand that we are a voluntary organization and here everybody is helping out in a voluntary basis. And there's a lot of information that has to go into the portal. It is slowly getting updated since we are only like 1 month into the new term and the team is already working on it. There is a lot of updation which has already happened. And that's the reason why we are also using multiple forms of communication. Like everything comes to a member through email, where we have decided this year that all communication will be through email because email is something which everybody checks on a daily basis. I don't think there's anybody who will say that I don't check my email regularly, right? Other forms of communication like Facebook or social, other WhatsApp or Instagram, not everybody is there everywhere, right? I may not check my WhatsApp for, I may check my WhatsApp only once a day, or I may go to Facebook maybe once a week, or I may not be in Facebook at all. Okay? But email is something where everybody checks at least twice or thrice a day. So put everything onto email. We are topping it up with posts on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. The district webpage, because of the amount of content that needs to go in there, is taking some time to get updated, but I'm sure in the next 1 to 2 weeks, it will be updated with showing all the latest information. The team is working on it. And as I mentioned, we are all volunteers here, right? Nobody is a paid employee. So we are trying our best to kind of get it up in a short time.
Good to know that, sir. The next question is also slightly related to what you touched upon in the first answer. Anyways, can we include our handmade drawings related to the theme in our flyers?
No. The flyer is if you put the Toastmasters logo on the flyer, let me make this very clear. If you put the Toastmasters logo and the Toastmasters name on the flyer, then the flyer has to comply with branding guidelines. It's very clear. But if you make a custom-made poster without logo or without the Toastmasters name, you can do anything. But then end of the day, what are you trying to convey? Okay? If I put the poster out without a Toastmasters logo and a Toastmasters name, what will that poster convey? It won't convey anything. But if you want to use the logo and the name, then the poster has to comply with the branding guidelines.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. In the current online scenario, several clubs are now designing their own certificates for the award of best speaker, best role player, etc., which is awarded at the end of every meeting. Does Toastmasters International give the clubs the liberty to do so? If yes, are there any restrictions or guidelines to be followed while designing these certificates?
You cannot use custom certificates. Again, the same thing which applied to the posters apply for the certificates. If you create certificates, put the Toastmasters logo or the name on it, you have to take permission from Toastmasters International before doing it. Don't put the logo, don't put the name, you're free to kind of do anything that you want. Okay? And there are online versions available which people are using, which have the logo and the name. I would suggest that everybody use that if you want to give certificates. But any custom thing that you make has to get approved by Toastmasters International. Okay? And that applies not only to the club, also to the district. Okay? So if we are giving certain awards which are not in line with Toastmasters International guidelines, we have to write to TI saying that, for example, say, if I want to give a mobile phone cover to people with Toastmasters International and District 120 written on it, okay? The district will have to write to TI saying that we are planning to give maybe 200 pieces of this to the members, and we have to also mention why it is being given, for what purpose. Is it a PR activity, marketing activity, recognition activity? So we have to mention that. So we have to take their permission, they will give the permission. And this can only be manufactured by a vendor which is recognized by TI. Okay, because only that particular vendor will have the proper logo and the name and everything in that font, which TI has kind of recommended. So it's not that easy. And I'll have to show proof to say that I have only made 200, I have not made 210. Okay, so it's not a very simple process, and TI is very right in doing it because they need to ensure that the brand and the name are properly protected and it doesn't go out and people create their own versions of it. It is as simple as most of us work for corporates, right? We can't go and use the corporate logo in any manner that we want on anything. We have to take permission from the trademark team in the corporate to do it. Anybody does it without the permission, I'm sure the next moment they would be shown the door, right? So every organization is very, very particular about their brand, and TI is no exception.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Satish. With that, we come to the wrap of this section on questions related to PR. For the next session, I would like to again call distinguished Toastmaster Aarti. It's regarding the roles, speeches, and contests. So the first question, how should we choose a topic for a speech, which sometimes becomes the most challenging part, and what should be the thought process? How to encourage existing members to deliver their prepared speeches? In brackets, concern here is if we approach the member for prepared speeches, they complain about their prior commitments. At some point, we are not able to force them. Over to you, Aarti.
Thank you, Divya. That's a pretty long question. So how do I decide what to speak about? There are two ways to approach. Number one, you have something that you're passionate about and a message that you want to share. Now you decide that message and try and fit in based on the path, the objective of the particular speech, the project that you are doing. That's one way of actually going ahead and fitting the content. The other way is, now each of our paths has a particular activity for us to do. For example, if you've taken the path on team collaboration, there is a particular level where you have to go ahead and either get a newsletter done or conduct a conference or do a panel moderation and talk about that particular experience. Those are pretty straightforward. The only challenge here, maybe this question is coming from someone who's done like a CC and then moved into pathways, where in CC you were able to speak about a topic of your choice. But here it is based on the actual path. Just follow the objectives and you'll be able to map them. I'll take an extra 30 seconds because the second question is a little longer. How do I encourage people to give speeches? As a VPE, I have been successful only because when a new member joins or when the term starts, I sit with my members and try and understand their goal for that particular term. All of us have joined Toastmasters with a particular reason. And if I'm not able to achieve or I'm not able to attain the goal for which I've joined Toastmasters, you have lost me as a member. And the best way to make that happen is to understand their goal. Make sure a mentor is assigned to them after that. Now, the mentor's duty is to help that member charter the way by which the entire goal can be met, how they could attain the path that they want to complete. And the mentor should be the person to judge or to nudge the member to finishing that particular goal. That is when the member themselves will come to you and commit themselves to a role or a speech slot. Let the member commit. When you keep pushing the member to take up a particular slot, that will not work. That is why a mentor becomes crucial in getting this job done. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, Aarti, thank you so much. Moving to the next question. Sometimes members get too anxious about table topics and leave the session. What should we do or follow to get rid of this fear from their mind so that they voluntarily step up for it? Over to you.
Honestly, I love table topics. And the more crazy or the more unique, difficult the topic is, I tend to enjoy it more. Probably if you ask me, what is your favorite festival? That's when I get blank. But because I enjoy table topics, I've done some research on the district contests conducted in the other districts. And believe me, that's when I realized our club normal table topics is way too difficult than what they do in district contests. The idea of table topics is not for the table topics master to project how brilliant I am. It is more of helping the members open up and talk. So number one, a request to table topics master is keep it as simple as possible. Let table topics be simple and let it not be a battle of wits. That's not the idea. As a speaker, it's okay. This is an opportunity for us to speak what we have in mind. Again, the simple idea is relate to the topic. If you're not even able to relate to the topic, start explaining the topic. And before, let's say, you get nervous, take a few seconds. There is this 30 seconds given for us to think, and most of us do not practice the 30 seconds in our clubs. Even in a contest, patiently say, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I had this little trick of looking at my watch, like I don't know whether it's morning or afternoon, and then saying good morning or good afternoon. That action helps me calm myself. So have a little trick or a small anchor, which will help you calm. But this you'll have to practice prior to getting on stage. On stage, you will not have time to calm yourself. You'll just have to speak.
That answers it. Thank you, Aarti. The next question. As contests are coming up, is it advisable to allot mentors to members, to concentrate on any particular aspects, or to just let them continue with their old mentors for comfort? Over to you.
Well, I think if you're a second-time contestant or a third-time contestant, by now you would have figured it by yourself. You know what your weaknesses and you know what your strengths are. Yes, if there is one aspect where you think it's a huge challenge, it is good if you can get a mentor to work with you on that one aspect. However, holistically, if you're comfortable with your mentor, I would recommend you go ahead with that mentor. So it is a member's choice. But as an ex-com, if I, as a member, come and tell you, you know what, I want to contest in the humorous contest, but I'm not a humorous person. Can you help me? Then yes, please help me get a good mentor. But for contest, let the member come and approach you and ask you for a mentor, because they know what they want. Don't force a mentor on them, which might not work.
Thank you, Aarti. How to encourage more members to take part in contests? Over to you.
Okay. I think at a club level, it will be a good practice if we say, let all members contest. It will be a fun activity. Let not people think about contest as something where you are proving something to your world, right? I know it means a lot. I started off as a contestant, so I can empathize and understand the emotions that the people go through in a contest. But at least in the club level, keep it simple. Let people enjoy the journey. And one thing I would like to share to all members, whether you win or whether you lose, every contest journey makes you a better person. There is so much of self-introspection that can happen. As an ex-com, if you can make the members comfortable in contesting, have mock contests, or probably as a part of your regular meetings, have a storytelling contest. Keep contests, contests should not only be your ISC and TT. Just take any topic, have a tall tale contest, have a storytelling contest, have a debate. that people get comfortable with opening up and speaking and learning while failing. Let your members get comfortable with that. That will encourage them to go ahead and participate in the contest.
Thank you, Aarti. The next question is quite long as well. I'll just try to read it. All the members are enrolled in the pathways. In fact, some of the members have completed the first and started the second path. It is always difficult to guide the people for the HPL project, High Performance Leadership. We don't have a clear-cut idea for the HPL project. What kind of project can be considered as HPL? It's also difficult to answer. We've come across the website d57tm.org. You may also be aware of it. The specialty of this website is to guide what is HPL project, and also if there are any questions, can we send them to respective HPL support team. It would be great to have such a team in our district to support the clubs to choose the right HPL project. Over to you, Aarti.
Thank you, Divya. So somewhere I think the answer is in the question itself. If you're looking at like a website where you want, we will definitely look into it. We want to have FAQs as a part of the website itself, so we can think about it. But more importantly, your HPL guide, you need to have a team of people who will guide you through the HPL. But even to decide what should be your project, that is where your mentor will support. But overall, we have found that there are a lot of cases where especially level 3 and above, members are struggling because maybe in that particular path, there are not too many people in their club or in their area who have completed that path. We will share some details of people who have completed the entire path who could always be a guide, not a mentor. Here we are talking about guides. For example, I've completed effective coaching level 5. So if you have questions in any of the levels in effective coaching, what speech should I give? For this project, can I do this particular activity and give that as a speech? Or as an HPL, what should I do? You could always get in touch with me. But in one line, an HPL is an elaborate process where you will have to spend some time in planning, in collaborating, in making sure you're able to do the entire project. You can either be successful or fail in the project. HPL does not say you have to be successful, but they talk more of the experience of completing that particular project.
Thank you, Aarti. The next question, how can we improve our storytelling style via Toastmasters?
Read a lot, read a lot. And anytime anyone asks you a question, try to answer it with a story. I'm someone who loves stories. So whenever I get an opportunity, even at work, when I'm training and someone asks me a question, instead of giving a yes or a no answer, I try to give a story and make them understand. And when I started off, my storytelling was horrible. I myself realized that I'm not doing a good job and stories would get repeated. The only way to keep yourself interesting is to come up with different stories. So try to read a lot, have a repository of stories. These stories could be your own experiences. Just that you need to be a little smart in picking up which story for what and be able to connect the two. And the best way to improve, keep repeatedly telling stories at every given opportunity. Any TT topic, give a story. So the more you keep telling stories, the more you'll be able to work on that. Thank you.
Aarti. The next question, how to improve the voice modulation to deliver speech along with the emotions?
Okay. That's a program which I conduct for about 40 hours. And I have about 1 hour, 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond. I'll give a quick tip. In any given sentence, identify the nouns, verbs, adverbs, and adjectives. And the minute you identify these, increase your volume for that particular word, pause before that word, and let's say voice modulation. Let's take the word voice. Normally, I will say voice, but if I have to modulate on that particular word, I need to say voice. Just stretch that word a little more. 1, identify nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives. Pause before them, increase your volume, and stretch that particular word. That is a simple, I would say a basic trick to get voice modulation. Once you master this, of course, there are many other rules, and you'll have to probably sign up for a separate session to get these details.
Thank you, Aarti. With that, we come to the wrap of this section. And for the next section on meeting quality, we would like to have our CGD, Distinguished Toastmaster Gayatri, answer it. So the first question, Gayatri, how do we encourage new members to make them attend sessions and perform their roles seriously in an online setting? Online fatigue has resulted in members resisting taking roles in their own club. This is leading to problems in member retention as well. How can we tackle this?
For a new member, I think the role of mentor is very important. So the role of timer, raconteur, grammarian, or any role that we perform in a Toastmaster meeting is probably not celebrated or revered for what it actually is. If you do the role of raconteur for a period of time, your listening skill improves by large. Similarly, if you do grammarian, whether you're so good at grammarian or very poor at grammar, it's perfectly fine. But the more you do grammarian role, you will start understanding that when somebody speaks, something is wrong. You wouldn't know what it is, but you would know something is wrong. And eventually you will be able to speak a better English. So I think it's the role of a mentor that is very important. So as an ExCom officer, probably the Vice President Education and the VPM can ensure that a mentor is assigned as soon as a new member joins. And the mentor can also make it as a part of their mentoring that before they do all the speech mentoring, they make the mentee understand the importance of every role. And there could be feedback sessions for the mentee or the new member from the mentor every time they perform a role so that they would be able to do it better. In terms of online fatigue, I think it depends on every club to come up with something new. For some clubs, it may be a discussion after the club meeting. For some of my club meetings go beyond the club meeting time, after the club meeting is over, because we speak about everything on the earth. For some clubs, it may be some sort of games that can be included. So it is up to us to become a little more creative and bring in a new energy so that the members find it more interesting than finding it tiring.
Okay, thank you, Gayatri. The next question, this is also a pretty long one, almost similar to the first one as well. There is an employee restructuring happening in the organization where club members work, and due to this, people are really busy with the transition work between the two roles. An organization has set up various meetings to make the transition smooth. Therefore, many of the members were unable to join the weekly sessions. Despite these multiple engagements with each member, still I'm facing less participation for the regular weekly meeting. I would request ideas to overcome this challenge. Over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you. I mean, whoever has taken time to write this, I really appreciate your sincere efforts because you're also part of the company. Probably you're also part of such meetings. So a couple of suggestions that I would give is, one, please have an open discussion with all your members. Call all of them for a 15-minute meeting. Maybe find a time which is probably convenient for all of you. Speak openly. Let's see what exactly is the problem. Is that a timing? Is it a challenge? Is it like too frequent? If it is too frequent, consider running meetings on weekend for a period of time. See if that would work. Maybe early morning on a weekend where probably other meetings are not really scheduled around the same time. But end of the day, I would say there is one criteria that we used to say for in-person meeting, right? The meeting is successful if every member who attended the meeting finds that they are looking forward for the next meeting, or they felt the meeting got finished too soon. Why did it got too soon? I mean, got over too soon. Let me wait for the next one. So if we can give that feeling even in an online meeting, I'm very sure people would join. So probably we are taking up Toastmasters meeting a little more seriously because we want it to be professional. We can be sincere and not serious, okay? We can have a lot of fun. Let's give a lot of appreciations. Let's make those silly jokes because in Toastmasters, people will laugh for silly jokes. So let's bring in that kind of fun-filled environment so that people don't find it as another stressful place where they have to prepare and present. Encourage people to be whoever they are. Let them improve over a period of time. And as long as you make it fun-filled and it is an enjoyment session, I think people would want to be part of it, even if they have stressful meetings otherwise.
Thank you, Gayatri. The next question is going to be completely contradictory. Members don't feel like participating in club hangout sections due to online fatigue. How do you ensure that the club bonds well during these times? Over to you.
So this hangout session is something that I look forward to in my club because we know each other very well. Okay, so we know kind of what is happening in everybody's house, what is their personal challenge at this point of time. We bond so much that we look forward to that moment where we can vent out what exactly is happening. Okay, but for this bonding to happen, it takes time. So in a Toastmaster meeting, especially for clubs that are with varied people like community clubs, it's very difficult to establish that bonding with everybody in the club. So there are few games that you can actually play. For example, monthly ones arrange for a 10-minute game after the meeting. There are quite a lot of interesting ones. One of them is like 3 truths and 1 lie. Okay, so everybody has to say 3 truths and 1 lie about themselves, and the audience has to guess what it is. And the lie has to look like it is a truth. So when people discover more about each other and when they become a little more open, the bonding becomes easier. So then the hangout sessions are the ones that people would be looking forward to. But for that bonding to happen, the XCOM has to become a little more creative. There are a lot of such games. This is one game that I gave as an example. But the club can think of such games which would interest the members, where they would also get to know about each other in a little more closer way. Then probably people may even start speaking about the things that are of common interest, and then the bonding happens. Then the hangout session would be something that people would want to run even longer. So these are some tips that I can think of.
Thank you, Gayatri. Interesting tips. When selecting themes, what are the factors to be considered for theme meetings?
The theme is one place where you can get very, very creative. If you have attended the session in the morning where Jayan says you can become creative with everything. So theme is one place where you can play around. Having said that, Toastmasters is a place where we want things to be a little professional. Okay, you can still have fun, but being professional. So how do we even bifurcate this? So I would give you a simple probably test or question that you can ask yourself before you finalize on a theme. If our international president, Richard Peck, is attending today's meeting, okay, would you want to project the same theme to him? Would you be a little embarrassed to show the theme to him? If it is not the case, go ahead. Or if it is not Richard Peck, probably your company CEO is going to attend your meeting today. Will you still go ahead with this theme? If it looks good to you, then it is good for being a theme, okay? But one more thing that I want to speak about theme is, you don't have to have theme for every meeting. Toastmaster doesn't insist that. Many times what happens is the Toastmaster of the day prepares a lavish content for being the TMOD on a theme, and then the meeting keeps running for a very long period. So if the Toastmaster of the day really wants to speak on a topic, it is better that they take it up as a prepared speech or as an educational session, rather than putting it as a theme. A theme is only like a side-by accessory. It's not mandatory. The TMOD can still play the role of MC, explaining the rules and run through the meeting. You can have themed meetings once in a while, but keep it formal. And I think if you answer the question and the answer is yes, and you can go ahead with the theme.
Thank you, Gayatri. The last question from the session. Being a corporate club, we have restrictions with timings and days that we can conduct our meetings. How do we plan and initiate combined meetings? Over to you.
Okay. Some of the corporates restrict people from outside joining them as well. But I would say if Mountain doesn't come to Mohammed, Mohammed has to go to Mountain, right? So if the corporate doesn't allow, you are welcome to join any meeting that happens outside of your corporate. I'm sure there are 90% of the clubs which allow guests to join. So if you cannot invite people, feel free to go and join their meeting. I don't see a challenge with that at all. All of the community clubs will allow you. All of the student clubs are also not so restricted. And I think 90% of the corporates also allow guests. So if you have a challenge, you can always have a very open conversation with another president saying, I'm very sorry, I cannot invite you here, but can we join your meeting? And probably the other meeting can happen over a weekend at a convenient time, so that the corporate people will also be able to join them. So, understand that all the XComs who are at this point of time in the district are your peers, are your friends. So if you have a problem in your club, and if you don't feel like speaking it to any of the district officers, speak with your peers, pour your heart out. Maybe you will find an solution, or at least you will feel good that there is another person to listen to, and you will find a new friend probably in the process. So there are a lot of ways to overcome your challenges. If you have restrictions in your club, go ahead and reach out. There are so many clubs waiting to join and run meetings with people if they just come and approach them. So just go ahead and have fun having joint meetings with other clubs.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. With that, we come to the wrap of this section. And the next one will be a generic session where all the three members, the district trio, will be answering one question each. So the first question, will the link that allows club members to be a role player in district events be open even after this medley inductions? Over to you, Toastmaster Satish, for answering this.
I will pass it on to the PQD to answer because it comes under their domain.
Thank you, Satish. The idea is at the beginning of every quarter, we open this in July, similarly in October, Jan, and April. Beginning of every quarter, we will have this open. So any member, for example, you might have a member joining in the month of, let's say, November. They might not be able to immediately sign up, but they can sign up in January. And while, let's say, a member is there, and you're like, no, I want that person to take up a role immediately, please approach your area directors and division directors. District role, let them sign up in the beginning of every quarter. That is the only way we can also streamline and make sure everyone gets an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti. The next question, can we have a Zoom ID provided for Club Qantas? Can we have Toastmaster Satish answer this? Is that okay?
It is technically not possible because Toastmasters International is very clear that district resources cannot be used for club events. So the club is a separate independent body according to Toastmasters, and the club has to kind of build the resources that is needed to run their meetings. District resources in terms of Zoom licenses or anything else can only be used from area contests and above.
Thank you, Satish. The next question, being a corporate club, we are finding it hard to gain DCP points. Why can't there be different tables for DCP to like separate for corporate and community clubs? Aarti, will you be able to do this?
Well, I think it is similar to an answer that, I'm not sure Gayatri or Satish gave earlier. Toastmasters does not distinguish between community, corporate, or college clubs, right? The goals are the same, the expectations are the same. While I can understand what could be difficult, there is one simple trick, I think, but for the membership where some corporates say we cannot add more because of restrictions, the other 8 points are up for grabs. It's only the membership where some corporates, I understand, have restrictions, especially when the corporate is paying for members. So, number one, I'm sorry, it is not in my hands to go ahead and accommodate it. It is TI who mandates and will have to go ahead and follow. But on the other hand, it is possible that you as a corporate club can still go ahead and attain 8 DCP points. If there is a challenge and you want to overcome the challenge in attaining those points, please feel free to drop me a message. We can sit together and draw up a club success plan, which will help you attain those points. Thank you, and back to you, Divya.
Thank you, Aarti. The next one is, there is a small request. They request to update Golden Gavel Tracker regularly in the District 120 website. So that's a request from a member. Moving on, we have DTM How. I've completed ACG CL in my traditional path. About to complete one of the pathways. What are the additional requirements I need? Would you like to take it, Aarti, or Gayatri?
I think Gayatri can take it.
Yeah. So for becoming a distinguished Toastmaster in pathways seems to be a relatively faster route, to be very honest. You have to complete 2 unique learning paths. You have to serve as a club officer for 12 months. I don't think you've mentioned about that. So if you have not already, you can. So you can either do a single officer role for 12 months or 2 officer roles for 6 months each. Everything is accepted. Then you should also serve as a mentor or a coach. And you should also serve as a district officer for 1 year. And then you also have an option to be a sponsor or run a Speechcraft or a YLP. So there are quite a lot of things that you have to do. So you can actually go through the Toastmasters website. It gives you a very clear idea of what all you have to do. So basically, you have to also pursue your leadership path in terms of club officer, district officer, club mentor or coach and a sponsor or a Speechcraft program. Along with this, you have to complete 2 parts and a DTM project. So these are the requirements for DTM. And if you have any challenges on how to approach a DTM project or how to be a mentor or a sponsor, you can reach out to your area or division director or the trio. We'll help you understand how you can become one.
Thank you, Gayatri. That was explained so well. The next one, when it comes to clubs, the president plays a major role in the ExCom. Whatever a problem arises or whenever an ExCom becomes inactive, he or she has to step in and work. Even the area and division success is based on each and every club's performance. The key role for that particular club performance is played by the club ExCom and significantly by the club president. Why don't we have any awards to recognize the work of a club president?
Well, let me take that. The club president is like a CEO of the club. So when you sign up for the role of a CEO, you don't expect an award, right? Because what is the ultimate award for a CEO? To see that the organization has flourished, right? So if end of the term, if you find your club has become distinguished or above, you added more members, you filed more educational awards, the next area champion or the division champion has come from your club, okay? Or you have had the next level of leaders go from your club. That itself is good enough recognition to say that you have kind of done a good job by leading the team. Okay? And any award that comes from TI, if you look at clubs that get the distinguished ribbon or the president's distinguished ribbon or the Smedley ribbon, it is always addressed to the president. So if you can open the letter that comes from TI along with the ribbon, it will have the president's name on it. Okay? So TI always, so that is the recognition which TI is giving you. And as a leader, I don't think we should strive for some kind of a trophy or a memento to say that I have done a good job. If you have done a good job, it is reflecting in the data which is there on the TI dashboard, that your club has gone to become distinguished and above. And all the other parameters which I talked about. If there are more members in the club, the meetings are happening, if the next speech champion is from your club or the next area leader goes from your club, there is the recognition to say that you have done a good job.
Thank you, Satish. Moving on to the next question. How do we prepare our joke master to ensure that he's able to make everyone laugh and enjoy that moment and pull the audience? Anyone?
Gayatri, could you take it? Humor and me don't go along with each other.
I'm not a very humorous person, but I'll tell you, I mentored one person and he eventually became a stand-up comedian. Okay. Of course, I stopped mentoring after he left Toastmasters though. Joke Master, first of all, don't take it too seriously. Whatever you want to try it out. It's okay to fail, right? A Joke Master is a small role in Toastmasters meeting. Nobody is even going to remember you if you goof up. So just give a try. And humor is like that. I mean, you may expect people to laugh for something, but they will laugh for something that you did not expect at all. So there is no hardcore rule saying that if you do this, people will definitely laugh. It's not that, but it is an opportunity for you to try something really, really new, really out of the box. And you have also mentioned that people are kind of acting or performing through action. It is not personal choice. It is not something that is right or wrong. There are so many versions of comedy. There are slapstick comedy. There is silent comedy. I don't think there is a bigger person in humor when it comes to Charlie Chaplin, right? But he never spoke anything. So you may not know your style, but knowing that out of so many questions you've asked about Joke Master, something tells me it is intriguing for you. So start exploring, listen to the pioneers, and you would be able to make people laugh and try it out. It's just for fun. Don't take it seriously and don't try to perform or do the best. Just start at some place and you will keep getting better. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. I think with that, we've come to a wrap. We've tried and answered all the questions that we've received through the mail. If there's anything left out, we'll definitely get back to you with through mail for sure. And I would like to give a small vote of thanks. Thank you everyone for being present here on this Sunday night for this open house session. And a big thanks to our district trio, Toastmaster Satish, Aarti and Gayatri for joining us today. I would also like to thank the role players for this evening. We have our Zoom master here. Can we have a Zoom master spotlighted, please? Can you spotlight yourself? Toastmaster Sushmita?
Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes, can you please spotlight yourself as well?
Sure, just give me a moment. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Sushmita, for handling everything behind the screens for us. And we have the timer for today, Toastmaster Arya Sharma. Yeah, thank you so much for playing a meticulous role of the timer today, timing each and every question. I should say it was seamless today. Thank you so much, Zoom Master and timer. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.
Before that, like how the Zoom master had to spotlight herself, Divya, you cannot thank yourself. So on behalf of the trio, we take this opportunity to thank you for anchoring the session. Thank you so much. And thank you all members of District 120. Have a fantastic week ahead.
Thank you, everyone. My pleasure, Aarti.
Thanks, Divya. Thank you, everyone.
Hoping to see you all again on the first Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. next month.